Marc Botenga is the Belgian Workers' Party first member of the European Parliament. He told me he believes the EU has ignored human rights.
What we've seen in the Middle East since basically the genocide in Gaza, but also right now with the attacks on Lebanon and on Iran by the United States and Israel, is that they've basically been supporting these illegal wars. And so that's absolutely unacceptable. We cannot have these double standards where we speak about international law when it comes to, I don't know, Russia, but we basically support the worst violations of human rights and international law when it comes to Israel and the United States.
The European Parliament is a broad church. We should explain there are obviously many parties and many different views. I wonder if, however, you could generalise and perhaps define the general sentiment towards what's happening in the Middle East among European Parliament members.
I think there's this coalition, the majority coalition behind Ursula von der Leyen, who's the chairman the chairwoman of the European Commission, so a little bit the executive of the European Union, who basically supports her stance, and her stance has been very pro-United States, very pro-Israel. So that is a disaster, I would say, for Europe, because once again, that completely, why would people in Asia, in Africa, in Latin America give any credibility to the European Union if it cannot stand up for the things it claims to stand for, right? But then you also have, fortunately, political debate, and you have people more towards the left of the hemicycle that are saying, listen, guys, we cannot have this hypocrisy. We cannot follow U.S. imperialism. We cannot ourselves be complicit in funding, for example, a genocide against the Palestinians, or in closing our eyes when UN peacekeepers are bombed in Lebanon by the Israelis. So you have this debate, but it very much depends basically on how people on the streets mobilize, because we as parliamentarians obviously feel the pressure from public opinion.
Ursula von der Leyen calls for peace. Is anyone listening?
No, I don't think they are right now, and the reason, of course, is that if you, bandwagon behind other countries, and in this case, the United States, then there's no reason for other countries to take the EU seriously. If the EU wants to be taken seriously, it should, on the one hand, be clear on its principles and and act upon those, and on the other hand, say, we will diversify our relations. We stand for multilateralism. We stand for multipolarity. And we will intensify our relations with other countries, with, I don't know, India, China, Brazil, South Africa. We will not just be, a junior partner to U.S. imperialism. And that is clearly a choice that Ursula von der Leyen today has not made, and the EU establishment is yet to make. But there is, I do believe, a strong pressure coming from public opinion to say, listen, this war on Iran, this illegal war on Iran, these massacres in Lebanon and in Palestine, these are not our wars. We do not stand for them, and they're not in our interests, because, energy prices are going up and ordinary Europeans are paying for that.